Now, a new book by the husband and wife team Suzan Haskins and Dan Prescher explains exactly how to make your dream become reality on a $2,000 a month budget. Their new book is The International Guide to Living Overseas on a Budget, detailing how you can enjoy a happier, healthier, more fulfilling retirement than you could possibly afford in the U.S. or Canada by finding a tailor-made living solution abroad. The book also explains how younger people and people with families can improve their quality of life while at the same time lowering their cost of living by finding work in a foreign country. And we hope to have the authors on with us. We're efforting that connection. Perhaps they're investigating some international opportunities and time differences have kept them away. But John, as a member of Congress, on occasion, and actually only a handful of times did I travel abroad in my 12 years there, 4 years, but I was struck by the number of Americans living overseas, especially those who had been involved in the Foreign Service and the military, who said they took a look at their retirement budgets and it made far more sense to continue to live overseas. And I understand now that they're here to talk with us about this. So let's welcome Suzan Haskins and Dan Prescher. We need to find out, Suzan and Dan, is this the real answer? You've got it for us, living abroad on a budget. Can we really live like kings, or at least princes and princesses?
Sure you can. Budget. Yeah, it depends on your budget, but sure you can. It's depending on where you go, you can cut your cost of living in half or more, again, depending on where you come from in the United States. So yes, it's perfectly possible.
What is the most popular place right now that you guys have found throughout your research where seniors are really gravitating towards right now to make that U.S. dollar stretch as far as they possibly can?
Go ahead.
Well, surprisingly enough, Ecuador is where we live, and we tend to think it's probably the lowest cost destination for Americans and Canadians who are looking to retire overseas.
Lots of bang for buck, but all you really have to do is look for the biggest communities of expats, because those guys aggregate in the places that are easiest to go to and most cost effective.
And where are those places? Where do you guys find that other than Ecuador?
Other than Ecuador, well, we have lots of friends and fellow boomers who are living in places like Panama, Nicaragua, Mexico, Costa Rica. Those are the most popular destinations because of their accessibility, closeness to the States.
There are probably more expats living full or part-time in Mexico than any other country outside the United States, just because it's convenient to get back and forth, and it's surprisingly safe, despite what you hear in the U.S. News cycle.
Well, boy, you say Mexico, and that really is shocking, although as a former Arizonan, the number of people who went down to Rocky Point, Puerto Penasco, is a huge area, but we've heard of some troubles down there. I have to admit, Suzan and Dan, that I didn't think about Ecuador being at the top of the list, but you take a look at some of these countries, at least in terms of the press coverage. As I read things, I'm going, do I really want to go there, given where their governments stand, given their economic situations? Let's get personal for a second.
Yeah.
Why Ecuador for you guys?
Well, we started our journey living overseas in Quito back in 2001. So we have a history with Ecuador. We've lived in Mexico and Nicaragua and Panama since then. But about 4 years ago, we came back to Ecuador just to take another look at it. And we were amazed at how the infrastructure has improved here. The roads have vastly improved since we were here in 2001. Internet access, healthcare here is really good, very affordable. Ecuador is a place where it's this economic stability is really well proven, I think, and it's an affordable, wonderful, beautiful place to live.
Bang for buck, it's one of the best value for dollar propositions in the Western Hemisphere, and we lack for nothing here. I mean, as far as amenities go, conveniences, we've really given nothing up.
What about the banking? You know, how do you guys do your banking? Do you still keep your money in the United States and U.S. institutions where it's federally protected by the FDIC, or have you moved everything to Ecuador?
No, we do because we don't have any credit history here, so we don't have credit cards and those kinds of things. So when we want to travel, we use our U.S. credit cards. We pay them with our U.S. bank account. But we have bought our small little condo here, so we do have some investment in the country. But it's really easy.
We have lives back in the States too. Our family is back there. We go back for holidays, special occasions. So. We haven't gone into a cosmic black hole or anything. We're still on the planet, and we're still American citizens.
Right.
So
you're on the planet, but Ecuador it's not exactly like a flight, say from Atlanta to Charlotte or from Phoenix to LA. Takes a while to get there. Do you ever have bouts of homesickness being
Sure.
overseas?
Yeah, I think everybody does. But we've been living overseas for almost 13 years now, so we're used to the lifestyle. But that is one of the things that people go through when they move overseas. They have that sort of oh my gosh, what have I done? And we certainly did when we first moved overseas.
It's a natural part of the process, but you'd get that if you moved from New York to Los Angeles. In any case, you may not have the language differences and the cultural differences as much as with Ecuador, but moving any place is one of the big stressors in life, and moving abroad is no different.
Well, you mentioned the language differences, and we heard your little resume of where you guys have been. I'm assuming both of you are fluent in Spanish, but what about the expat community? Do you have a sizable contingent of American neighbors with whom to socialize?
We do. We definitely do. There are several hundred expats who are living right here in this little town of 8,000 people with us.
U.S. and Canadian.
Yeah. When we first got here 4 years ago, there were probably 20. Now there are probably 400, I would say. So it's a phenomenon that's growing.
And all of us speak amongst ourselves. The expat community is tightly knit, but all of us also have some Spanish language skills, because it just makes your expat experience that much better, that much more rewarding, and that much easier. So I wouldn't say we're fluent, but we're functional.
Well, what about, and again, sorry to be personal, but do you find living overseas like this as a couple, has this brought you closer together, this kind of adventure and being in this exotic locale?
Absolutely.
Sure.
And I think that's one of the things that many couples, that's one of the reasons many of them do it, because they feel like now is their time to reconnect. So it's been a great experience for us personally.
And the adventure has been the main motivator for us, and we think should be for anybody who wants to move abroad and live in an exotic place. That sense of adventure has to be your primary motivation.
All right, well, Suzan Haskins and Dan Prescher, the book is called The International Guide to Living Overseas on a Budget. Great insight there, and maybe we'll see you overseas someday.
Come on down.
One of my old constituents moved to Izmir, Turkey. I've got to tell you, Izmir is not exactly high on the list, but then again, I didn't expect to hear from them in Ecuador. So certainly opening my eyes as the years pass and the shadows grow longer. But I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Never going to retire, Jay. You're going to stay right here
That's
on
right.
America's Forum, just like everybody else watching today. And send those comments in. We'll get to them coming up at the end of the show. We'll be back with more after this.